Been wanting to get together with Skywalker still for this show for a while. Okay, we did a really deep dive on the passing game, on the scheme from last year, on the why the quarterback didn't play so well, on the why the offense didn't play so well. We went into what this offense looked like, what it will look like moving forward, and how Brian Schottenheimer and George Pickens, quite frankly, helped Dak Prescott. I hope you guys enjoy it, and do me a big, big favor. Make sure that you guys like, share, and subscribe to Skywalker Still. He's one of them ones. Y'all see the graphic on the screen. That's my guy. Make sure that you guys show him love. Let's get him to 10K. And you guys help me get to 50K. I love you guys. And as we get to the summer, it's the dead period. So I try to make that video 15 minutes. It ended up being 30 minutes. It is what it is. I hope you guys enjoy this content. We have finally reached the dead period. But if it's anything like waiting for the draft, which came and went, I got to tell you guys, this is going to go fast. And I wanted to get this piece of content out. I've been talking to Sky about this for weeks. He's been doing some digging. He's been doing some research on it, and he's going to articulate just a few ways like how and what and why this passing game wasn't great last year and how it's going to work this year and why it will be successful this year. But obviously, you guys know who Skywalker Still is, but I'm going to say this till I'm blue in the face. When it comes to Steele, when it comes to coordinators, he's the one. I mean, he was one of the first people to put me hip to Drew Petzing. He was one of the first people. He's put me hip to so many of the Shanahan tree guys. Just name a coordinator, especially an offensive coordinator. He knows about them. He knows their tree. And, you know, we've had our battles. Like, one thing about me and Steele is we've had our battles when it came to McCarthy. I was a fan of quick game. As I watched the film and I see it now, it was like, we weren't able to take shots last year. So some of those things, but that's a long-winded intro to just say, before we get started with this video, Skywalker Still, how you doing, buddy?
I'm fantastic. You always do great with these intros, man. Like every time you do an intro and I have somebody on the show, I'm like, man, I gotta live up to Foots's intros. But hey, man, it's the greatest, co-host guest I got. Nah, but appreciate you, bro.
So still, we went through the draft. Obviously, we were on the draft together. So, and we ended up drafting Tyler Booker, and everybody knows my feelings. And then we ended up eventually signing George Pickens, right? And a weight was lifted off my shoulders because I realized that this was a need, Sky. Like, and I think you realized that as well. You were very neutral. One of the few people in the community that was neutral on the whole thing. You just want the team to be better. And I respect that. And so what I wanted to do was this, Guy. Everybody's talked about a lot around the community when it comes to how George Pickens wins. You've done film on him. I've done film on him. We've all had our ideas. But what I want to talk about is the marriage of not only Pickens, but now what he'll do for CeeDee Lamb and just how this passing game needs to look better. And I got my little, it isn't a Skywalker Still graphic, but it's a cool graphic. And the perfect marriage to me, Sky, is just the return of the deep ball.
Yeah.
People have really disrespected Dak's ability to push the ball down the field. But I did some research, man. Since 2016, Dak has had an amazing passer rating when pretty much throwing the ball downfield, 20 plus air yards. Only Aaron Rodgers has a better rating. And his rating dropped. His rating dropped in 2024, Sky. Why? Some scheme, and I'm going to get to you with that. Some scheme, some personnel. Like, I like Brandon Cooks, just wasn't enough to me. And people and teams and defensive coordinators sat on pretty much everything CeeDee Lamb wanted to do. And then even since 2022, per PFF, Dak is only behind Geno Smith, which is, people look at Geno Smith as a guy who's not great, but he can throw the ball deep well, and Joe Burrow. What I found was, okay, what does Joe Burrow have, Sky? Joe Burrow has two great receivers, and he's also a great quarterback. And so I just think that when you add Pickens to the mix, and I'm going to add him to the stage now, okay, 19 go routes in 2024. That's what he does. The go route key, he can get down the field. And only one receiver in 2024, which was him, had 10 for 352 yards, and I forgot to put a touchdown in there. Leads the league in go routes since his 3 years in being in the league. And this is per PFF, 97.1 receiving grade. Okay, still. So I got my cute graphics out the way. Now, I want to ask you, what was your issues with the offense last year? And I know we hate taking a step back, but let's do this so we can kind of take our step forward. Passing game wise.
Yeah, so there's a couple different things you can go, right? You could talk about schematics, you could talk about personnel, you could talk about blocking. There's different layers to it, but I feel like we're more talking about scheme here.
Yes.
And I've had an issue with the scheme all the way up until week 6 of 2023. Right. If we go
Yes.
back, so what we saw from weeks 1 to 6 up to that San Francisco game they wanted to buy, I was like, hey man, where was the stuff we was kind of seeing or hearing about, or Texas Coast stuff in preseason? And we didn't see much of any of it. And then something clicked. And I'll elaborate on what I think that was maybe later in the show. Something clicked and things started to change a little bit. And you saw a little bit more creativity. You saw some type of schematics from a scheme standpoint more consistently than last year came. And this was my fault. I tell the viewers all the time, I assumed the Cowboys would pick up from 23 with the things they did well and take it into 24. But what I think happened here was this was McCarthy on his last year, right? Or a lame duck season. And I think he leaned more into what he has known for 30 years as a coach in this league, or a play caller in this league. And he leaned into that style of offense even more quick game. Didn't trust the blocking as much more. We heard about, because Ferg said it, tight end wasn't used as much downfield. He was chipping a lot and doing pass pro. The run game was not well. They couldn't figure that out. He never really was a good run game coordinator anyway. Didn't always bring a scheme with it. So when you got a team that can't run the ball with the players, can't run the ball with a scheme, teams don't trust it, that's going to make it harder on you from a passing standpoint. So it was just a cluster F all the way around, Foots. I don't know if there's one specific thing. It was, and then Dak goes down. So that's it, right? It's just everything was just bad about this passing game last year, man.
You know, Scott, and watching the games all the way up to Atlanta, I got to tell you, you'd be hard pressed to find passing concepts that scheme guys open.
Yeah.
And you know, in the moment, you're looking at the line play, you're looking at the lack of a run game, and then it's CD or nothing. Like, that's what the offense felt like. Even in the Browns game, CD has to make a tightrope catch on the edge. You go to the San Fran game, they're bracketing CD all game, so you need other guys to step up. It was late in the game. They tried to press the ball to Turpin, nothing, you know, and this was late. And I just don't think that that's how he can win consistently. You want Turpin mismatching with guys, right? Safeties and linebackers. You don't want him on the edge versus a top corner.
Going deep downfield, throwing a jump ball to Turk.
Makes no sense.
No.
It makes no sense. And so enter in one George Pickens guy, which I'll be honest with you, I don't know if I would even want George Pickens with Mike McCarthy. I say that because the style in which he wants to play, it kind of is so, and what he wants to call an offense, I feel, is kind of so robotic, is slant flat, slant, you know, whatever. And I feel like the seam calls are really sometimes just Dak checking into him, but the actual play calling of it with McCarthy, I just don't even know if that would have made sense. Now, obviously, George Pickens is going to be George Pickens. He survived the quarterbacks that he did. You know, I showed that graphic, and that's what guys like Fields and it was literally quarterback purgatory.
Yeah, it was bad over there.
Yeah,
Trubisky, I think at one point.
Trubisky, Mitchell, come on. So now we take a step forward and we spring to what this offense we think will be and what we're hoping it will be. Sky, you say what to that? If you had, and you actually did some research on the let Russ cook back and forth, I want you to kind of give me some of your detailed thoughts of what you think this, and not only what Sky thinks. Now we actually have, and I'm being a bad host here, Sky, because I don't have my drop with George Pickens saying, and you know, Sky, he was so candid with that. He was like, listen, I just love that the defense can't just get a beat on what I'm going to do pre-snap. And you've been saying it. So, Scott, what makes you, why were you so confident of everybody to know, man, Shotty going to move these guys around and it's going to be free access and all those types of things offensively?
Just the context clues and you know, the backstory of Brian Schottenheimer, his journey. He is, I call him a chameleon because he can morph into anything. He adapts to, you know, his surroundings, and he's taken all of that knowledge everywhere he's been. A coordinator for three different teams. If you count this one, it'd be 4, but I don't really count the Cowboys. wide receivers coach, tight ends coach. He worked on the other side of the ball to help out the defense and see what's, affecting defenses around the league. He's just been ever college, pros, and he went to college in the middle of being in the pros. So he's seen everything. He's been in multiple type of offenses, and he has followed the trends of the league. I think one thing that has helped him a lot was when he did work for the defense and helping them out. I thought he saw, okay, this is affecting teams this way. And when people would come and say, Shotty's going to be Marty Ball, we're going to just run the ball this, run the ball that. I'm like, yeah, we're going to run the ball. No doubt about it, because we brought in Clayton Adams. But I think we're missing how much better this scheme from a passing standpoint is going to be, because he talked about condensed splits. He talked about pre-snap motion, right? He talked about what I call post-snap action, which is basically just we're going to get two guards pulling and make it look like a run, but it's really a play action play, right? And we got with that, we have maybe a tight end or a receiver fake blocking here, then the tight end leaks out, and behind him we have an over route. There's going to be a lot that is going to connect with this offense, and that's the other part, right? Marriage. You talk about marriage, marrying the run with the pass. Shotty. All right, let me go back to what I said earlier. Dak Prescott up to week 6.
Take your time.
The reason why I use week 6 is because if you listen to Shotty after the bye week, and they had that game, I think it was against either the Chargers or whomever it was, he talked about going around looking at what's working in the league, stealing those plays and implementing it. You saw it immediately against the Rams, I think it was. We're like, oh, we're doing exit motion. We didn't do exit motion all year, basically. Then what did we do? We kept it. We kept doing that exit motion, that push motion, and those things were working. Our numbers went up a little bit with pre-snap stuff. We started to see some combo routes, right? And then what happened? Dak goes on to have an MVP type year. That year, Dak finished 5th in play action pass percentage.
This 2023. Yes.
You know where he was last year? I want to say 22nd. And you know where Cooper Rush was? 34th. So the play action went out the window. And ladies and gentlemen, it wasn't like the Cowboys were an amazing run team in 23. It's just about the action, right? And mind you, that's play action with a very archaic passing scheme, for real, sprinkled in with what I believe was Schottenheimer, who tried to implement certain things. And then it was Jerry Jones who let it out the bag and said, I've watched Shotty bite his tongue in meeting rooms. And what I believe he meant was Shotty wanted to do more of what was working in 23 and more maybe during that terrible playoff game. And McCarthy's like, no, this is if I'm going to go down, I'm going down my way. So hate to be super long-winded and all.
No. This is what I want. Yeah.
But that's why I felt confident just listening to Shotty talk about how he wanted to do things. It sounded like the modern day offenses. It sounded like what you see from O'Connell, from Shanahan, from McDaniels, from McVay, from Ben Johnson. It sounds like that offense. And then going out getting Clayton Adams, that's the cherry on top to me to say, okay, yeah, they want to make 5 formations, right? And 100 plays out of them. You know what I'm saying? Where it's condensed, you can go wide, got play action, and that's the thing. Play action is going to go way back up. I don't care how good they run the ball. Play action's going to go back up, and that's where those deep shots come in, and that's where George Pickens is going to be huge. Because another thing to add on to George Pickens, 3rd in the league behind only Justin Jefferson and Tyreek Hill in I believe it's deep ball yards since he came in the league. He's only 3rd behind those 2 guys. So get ready for that to come back. And Dak has still been a good deep ball thrower. But he's been throwing to who? 5'9", or 5'10", Brandon Cooks, 5'9", Kevontae Turpin, CeeDee Lamb when you get him out there, but not that much. He doesn't do too many go routes. Michael Gallup, not the same Michael Gallup. If you talk about Gallup from 2018 to 2021, bet. Yeah. But Michael Gallup not the same guy. And then Jalen Tolbert, that's not his game either. So now he gets one of the elite deep ball wide receivers. It's going to push that defense back, man.
Boy, I like the way you talking. Listen, this is why he's on the Cowboys Collective. He's one of those ones. Sky brings he brings the heat. He's not gonna fluff you to death. And Sky, this is something that me and you have kind of started talking about, and it's so true. It's 2 things. I'll speak on one. I want you to speak on the other. You know why you need deep shots, Sky? Chat. You need deep shots because it's so hard in the NFL to put a drive together. Like that, it's hard, man, to go 5 play, run, 4 yards, convert, do it again, do it again. And no, you need explosives. You need explosives. If it's going to be in the run game or it's going to be in the passing game. Now, how I see this offense and how I see this passing game, Ben Kirk, I forget, I don't know how you quite say his name, but he started a good debate on Twitter, and he said that the Cowboys right now have the 2nd ranked receiving core. And honestly, when I saw that, I kind of agree, because I've been saying right now, if you really look at it, if you look at just how underutilized George Pickens has been and used in quarterback play, the only other receiving core that to me comps would be Philly or Cincinnati. The reason why I love Dallas's receiving core is because CeeDee Lamb is everything, and he's good at everything. You look at AJ Brown, and he is a monster on the edge, right? He's really good on the edge. But can you put AJ Brown in a slot? I mean, I'm sure you could do it as a power slot, but that's not really how they want to use him.
Yeah.
And so I now ask you, and I transition this because I don't want to get in the woods with that and the whole argument and all that. That's fine. I want to ask you now. I think he's on to something, Scott, but I want to ask you. We've talked about it, but now I think me and you were kind of first to say this. Maybe there's been other people, so I don't want to take any credit, right? But let me ask you, Sky, what says you a world where, because the Bengals will tell you they have 2 1s and everybody else. What says you, Sky, to that world when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys, the passing game, and these 2 receivers? Because we already see it's already been reported. Dak and Pickens are rolling already.
They complement each. Oh yeah, Dak and Pickens connection. And that's what's cool, man. Is that people forget this when we got Amari Cooper and then Brandon Cobb came on the scene. It didn't take long for Dak to connect with these boys, right? Like think about it. We got Amari in the middle of the season, and he helped guide us into the playoffs, rolling. Randall Cobb, he revived his career when he came in early, right? And so we've seen him be able to do this. And then it got a little choppy when McCarthy brought in Brandon Cooks, and we saw that didn't quite click right away. It took some time to get Brandon Cooks going because I didn't think they were really using him all that well, in my opinion. But with these 2, I think it's self-explanatory. George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, come on, one of the best duos in the league. That's not even arguable. Where I think Kurt is on to something, and this is the ironic part. Think about this. Everything from those 2 down, so we're talking about Tolbert, Turpin, Mingo, that's a pretty solid unit from a 3 to 5, right? Like, and this is why it's ironic. If it was CeeDee Lamb, Tolbert, Turpin, Mingo, dog, I don't know, man. It's a little rough. We need to get some help. Well, when it's CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, Tolbert, Turpin, Mingo, or however the hell you want to put it, because people are going to be like, no, man, Turpin's man, whatever you want to say. If my wide receiver 3 or 4 is going to get me 607, I am okay with that. All right. And then Turpin is he's such a wild card where they can utilize him in so many different ways. I call him a gadget guy, but in a great way, not in a bad way. People take gadgets bad. No, Turp can line up in the slot. He can run a go route. He can run over routes, whip routes, reverses, jet sweeps, hand off in the backfield, catch the ball at the backfield, yo. He can do so many different things, man. Yes. So many things to put pressure on the defense that you forget this dude's out there and he can pop you with an explosive. So when you really go look at this room, it complements each other pretty well, man. You got Turp that can do all that stuff. I think Tober's just a very rock solid 3. Doesn't do anything spectacular, but he doesn't do anything terrible. He's a rock solid 3 from a receiving standpoint. And then Mingo can be kind of that power guy. He can be a power slot. He can line up out at X. If one of those guys goes down, I feel like Mingo would be your traditional X guy on the boundary, and they would try to fill in the other way. I like the room with Pickens in it a lot more than maybe some other pundits do. Don't stop at Pickens and Lamb. Go look at the rest of the room and how it complements each other. This room is a solid ass room, man.
Wow. And you know what's so crazy about it, Sky? I do believe that a guy like Mingo has a role as a blocker. right? He has a role as a big body, right? Yeah. And now go tackle this guy. Go tackle him and on something quick. And then you have Or Reliable Tober. So 100% what you said, I think it makes a lot of sense. And then obviously the wild card is 100% Kevontae Turpin.
Yeah.
Here's what I'll finish up with, and I'll bring it all full circle. We don't know how Tyler Booker is going to look day one, game one. But I think me and you have asked this question. We've asked, is he a better run blocker? Is he a better pass blocker? And we haven't really been able to go to deep dive on the Cowboys collective because obviously we have to get to more content. We have, there's things that we have to get to. And it's more of a Cowboys base. This is more from a scheme standpoint. Sky, I got to tell you, I watched, just to go back and do a refresher. If Tyler Booker is going to pass pro the way that he did at Alabama, right? I think this passing game is back unlocked because what the issues that you had, yes, some on the edge, but the pocket, right?
The depth,
The depth, what you've said, Scott, the depth of the pocket. If he's going to do those things, your deep shots, your actions, your run action, your marriage, where it's looking the same, and we put RPO, whatever you want to do. Because, by the way, don't get me started on Dak and how many offenses he's played in. The guy's Teflon. He's played in so many different schemes, so many different offenses. There's not a scheme. There's not a layers, a levels, a Mills concept, a snag, whatever. He knows it all.
There's a scheme he ain't playing. The one he about to.
That's Shanahan.
like keep like seriously, think about this, bro. Scott Linehan.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Learning Kellen Moore.
Kellen Moore, who was just on the fly, right? And then an archaic West Coast offense. Think about this for a second. Aside from Kellen Moore, who, let's be real, he had to get told in Philly. Hey, fam, come here.
Yeah, he did. Shut it down. Yeah. This how we do things.
This how we do it over here in Philly. Yeah. All right. And okay, won the Super Bowl. Cool, get your head coach job. But it ain't like we looking at Kellen Moore like, man, look at this innovative next. No, right? It was, hey, got the Super Bowl ring, but he was told, sit your ass down, let's run the ball. Okay. Yeah. Is anybody clamoring for Mike McCarthy's offenses? Is anybody clamoring for Scott Linehan's offenses or Jason Garrett? No. So he hasn't really played an offense that's like one of them ones. You know what I mean?
Right.
So this will be, I'm excited to see it, man, because if he stays upright, I think you'll see more 2023.
I said this and I was thinking about this, and you don't have to give me an answer right now because I don't want to put you on the spot. I think that, Amari Cooper's numbers were better. I think that Derek Carr was a better quarterback than George Pickens has ever been with. But a 24-year-old George Pickens, I say what he's gonna bring to this offense may be a hair. Okay, let me not say
going
that.
With this.
I'm going. I'm gonna just wait.
Very similar.
Did she? So great minds think alike. Because think about it. Right? What she say?
She said Lamb and Pickens is I think he said okay. She said Pickens is the best sidekick or whatever you want to call it, the best guy Lamb will have played with.
Yes.
And I said the only other argument is Amari Cooper when Coop first got here. But I'll flip it upside down. I think this version, this coming together of Lamb and Pickens is better than any version of Lamb and Cooper.
That's what yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
You could argue up and down that when Cooper got here, you could say, well, he's better than Pick. You could argue that, and I wouldn't fight you for real because he was established. Amari Cooper was nice, right?
He was.
But when Lamb got here, Lamb was a rookie. Lamb was a pup, right? Lamb was, a lot of slot. And Coop was still Coop. Second year comes in around, Lamb's still learning. Coop starts to, go backwards a bit. And what happens? Gets traded.
Yes.
So we really didn't get prime CeeDee Lamb, prime Amari Cooper. We have prime CeeDee Lamb and prime George Pickens.
Yes. Entering his prime for Pickens because,
you know what I mean?
And I think the biggest schematic or skill set difference is the ball winner that George Pickens is.
And then there's that part, right? There is they're different. There's a route technician.
Yes.
That CeeDee Lamb, Cooper is. And then there's Pickens, who's just athletically more gifted.
There it is right there, Scott. And that's not a knock on Cooper in any way.
Nah, it just is what it is.
But if the ball is near, and I think, to be honest, I think he has a little bit more grit than Amari Cooper. Like Amari Cooper is a route running.
Dog, bro.
Yeah. Well, remember what we said? Like in these games, who was a party starter? I think that we'll see Pickens be a party starter. Big catch, take a big hit, get up, go crazy. That's just not Amari Cooper's game.
Coop is more Marvin Harrison on game day. I remember growing up watching Marvin Harrison. Like, this motherfucker don't celebrate. He don't say nothing. He just sit there and he goes out and gets the job done. Now, love Dak, but he ain't Peyton. But if he played with Peyton for 10 years, he put up Marvin Harrison numbers probably, right? Marvin was a beast though. But that's his personality. And we're talking on the field because OG Marv, I ain't talking trash about you off the field. I know how you get down up here in Philly. So I ain't saying nothing. Yeah. But then you got Pickens. Pickens is more probably gonna be more Irv or somebody. Right? But Pickens is gonna talk his talk. He gonna get fired up. He gonna get our Dez. I guess that's the new version, right? We could keep it Cowboys. Pickens probably gonna be more Dez than he gonna be Amari Cooper in that standpoint, in that sense. Yeah,
ball winning guy, and just thinking about the quarterbacks he's played with and the balls he's had to track, and I mean it's just been a lot.
He's a great bad ball catcher.
Probably the best in the league, literally. I mean, Mitchell Trubisky, Kenny Pickett, come on, man. Mason Rudolph, seriously.
Bro, so I think people sleep on his production because one of my mantras, context matters. If you go look at Pickens and people just want to look at stats and not watch film, cool. Go look at his stats and just add a tiny bit of context. People are like, damn, this is pretty damn impressive, my guy. You never played with a Pro Bowl quarterback. You never played in an amazing offense. You played in the Matt Canada and Arthur Smith pass game. Come on.
I told y'all he knows those OCs, and he ain't lying because neither one, it ain't a team in the league looking for those guys.
I'll put a bow on it. They said, "Hey Pickens, how you feeling about this offense?" I said, "Dog, I'm just excited to see motion, man." Because now and he was like, he said, not all coaches gonna do this. He talking about Arthur Smith. He's talking about Matt Canada. Bro, if you wouldn't watch the game and study the film going into that Pittsburgh game, bro, I'm sitting here watching this thing like, oh, we gonna be all right.
Yeah.
They don't do what makes the Cowboys struggle. They don't do the pre-snap stuff. They don't do the post-snap action. They're line up and run the ball, line up and he got a decent run game scheme, but pass game, fam, trash.
Skywalker still, ladies and gentlemen. I told you. Skywalker still, ladies and gentlemen. When we start talking about the OCs, because he did the work. And I just gotta say, guys, you guys may see me and Sky on this channel one more time throughout the dead period, or I may be on his channel. But I wanted to give you guys this nugget because this is what he do. Like when it comes to scheme, kind of talking, and we'll actually probably hit some of it preseason and even maybe some in season. We're working.
Absolutely. So, definitely, bro. Like, look. I'm on the independent scene now, my boy. So I'm everywhere with it. Go.
All it is text, man. So Skywalker still, thank you so much. I can't thank you enough for doing this. This was one of those ones I actually can't wait to listen back. You guys send this around, and as always, thank you guys for liking, sharing, subscribing. We want to get Skywalker Still's subscribers up, so make sure you guys subscribe, and then make sure you guys help me out as well. We're on the way to 50K. I love you all. 50K, baby. Let's go, Sky. Peace. Let me get my peace sign in. There we go. Peace. Love y'all.